Hello everybody, this video will give you an idea of how to write a composition, especially for an exam like the DSE exam. And today we're dealing with this topic. You recently watched a play performed by artists on the street. Even without a proper stage, the play was a success and attracted many passers-by. Write an article for the school magazine about this performance. Describe what the play was about, what problems and limitations that the performers had to face, and how they overcame them, and give your article a title. So basically it's about a play with artists on the street. In other words, it's street performance. That's the main theme of this composition or of this topic. And we are writing an article for the school magazine. In other words, our target audience, our target readers will be a bunch of young people, our schoolmates, students in the secondary school, most likely. So you write this article, and so there are a few things that you need to do, the mini tasks. First, you describe what the play was about, so some level of description will be required. And secondly, what problems and limitations that the performers had to face. So you have to, work on the problems, limitations, the difficulties that the performers encountered. And thirdly, finally, how they overcame it. The problems, how they overcame them. And so some level of description, talk about the difficulties that they had, but most importantly how they overcame these problems. And don't forget, there should be a title. Now let's go into the article, the writing, the composition itself. Now let's start with the title. A charming spectacle on the streets of Causeway Bay. Of course, this is a local street, a local area, so the inclusion of Causeway Bay may be a suitable idea. And the keyword street, because we're dealing with a street performance, a street drama play, so yes, why not? Now using the word charming because, well, we know ultimately we need to say how the performers overcame the problems, and so maybe you want some adjective that is more positive. Charming is a good word. Of course, if you take a look there, well, you have quite a number of choices there: attractive, appealing, and delightful. Yes, but charming is the word that I've chosen. Spectacle. Well, instead of saying play, drama, view, sight, situation, well, maybe you want to get a bit specific with the word spectacle, and a word that will give you a more positive idea, and I bring them together: charming, spectacle. So yes, so hopefully this is a good one, a good title for this article. Now let's get to paragraph 1. Paragraph 1. There is no curtain, no raised platform as a stage, no spotlights, and not even a single chair for the audience. But everyone is mesmerized by the show, and everyone revels in every single movement of the performers. Street performances certainly deserve more respect and attention from the public. So for a start, you want to set the scene by, some sort of description to begin with. No curtain, no raised platform, no spotlights, and not even a chair. And basically, I am trying to rewrite the topic keywords there. Remember the first line there, without the proper stage. Yeah, so you want to rewrite it a bit and try to show your understanding of drama performance with words such as curtain, stage, spotlights, audience, etc. No, but a very sharp contrast. You want to change it from the more negative to the more positive. The people love it. And everyone is mesmerized. And I'm using the present tense. Of course, I'm giving you a general picture of what a drama play or what a street performance is often like in our daily life. So everyone is mesmerized. Everybody is enchanted and fascinated by the show, street drama, and everybody enjoy every single movement of the performance. Of the performers. So here and there I've highlighted words, vocab words that you may find useful. Try to add them to your own personal vocabulary. Mesmerized by, feel attracted, enchanted by a certain person, a certain performance. Revels in, you enjoy, you feel delighted by every single movement of the performers. And then you point out the central message here by a concluding remark for the introduction. Street performances certainly deserve more respect and attention from the public. Alright, so of course it will be this is a wonderful introduction, especially because it corresponds to the given situation there. Success, even though without even a proper stage, it was a success. And then especially this is a good introduction because you feel the tone is not too formal, unlike an argumentative essay, because we know that it's an article for the school magazine, and the target audience, the target readers are teenagers. So, alright. Paragraph 2. So, from a general scene, I now look back at last week, my experience on the streets. Now, because you recently watched a play on the street, and that is given by the situation, by the topic. So after general description of a case of street drama, now I go back to last week, what happened to me. As I was walking down the busy street of Causeway Bay, keywords that I put in my title, I saw a group of performance artists staging a play. Past tense, here and there, referring to the incident last week. So actually I'm going back to the first task requirement, describe what the play was about, and now I'm going to talk about that particular play that I saw last week on the street in Causeway Bay. Now here is the summary. What the play was about. The story revolves around a helpless man who has lost his memory. As the story unfolds, the protagonist tries to unveil his identity and to find his way home. On his journey, he encounters a diverse group of characters who help him recollect his past. Finally, he arrives at the frightening discovery of his identity and the cause of his amnesia. Although the play was not an expensive production and it featured only few characters, it managed to appeal to many spectators. So this is what the play was all about. So after, very quickly going back to last week, that moment when I saw that play on the street, moving on to the summary, the synopsis right there. And I switched to the present tense because very often when we want to describe the summary or the synopsis of a story, of a book, we switch to the present tense. So revolves around, it is about, so it's a good expression when you especially want to give a synopsis of a story, of a plot. It revolves around, it is about this man, blah blah blah. And then it continues as the story unfolds, as the story continues, as the story moves on, as the story unfolds. Another excellent expression when you want to give a summary of a story. Well, basic vocab words such as the protagonist, play, drama, stage, lighting, spotlight, platform. These are very common words related to drama, so you want to show your understanding of drama language, like the protagonist tries to unveil his identity, blah blah blah. And so you see I'm trying to use vivid verbs here and there to, show the sequence of events with a bunch of vivid verbs, more colorful verbs. Alright, like this, like that. Okay, yeah. So of course, you feel free to make up your own version of the storyline. Use your imagination, but remember, the summary itself has to be succinct. That means concise. Don't make it over elaborate. Okay, keep it short. Although you need to give details, you don't want to write a very long one to an extent that you may neglect the rest of the article. You see, there's still a lot you have to write on, so keep it succinct, concise. Just get the key points there. So you see, in a matter of 1, 2, 3 sentences, I basically give you an idea of what that drama play was all about. Now here comes a concluding remark after this summary, this synopsis. There I round it with a positive remark. Although the play was not an expensive production, it featured only very few characters, it managed to appeal to many audience members, spectators. Appeal to, attract, okay? Because you see, the play was supposed to be a huge success. So I try to round it up with a positive remark here, with my last sentence. Okay? And of course I've showed you these words, signpost words, to help the flow and the organization of the paragraph. So that must help in organizing your work, giving a good structure, because apart from the vocabulary, the organization is extremely important too. So there you go, paragraph 2. Paragraph 3. So after giving you heading back to last week, that particular drama, and giving you the summary of the play, what's next? Now I think we're ready to move on to point 2. What problems? Let's talk about the problems and limitations, because that's the second requirement hidden in the topic itself. So paragraph 3, let's talk about the problems and limitations. The show included singing and dancing, which caught the attention of many people. You can call them spectators, audience, or passers-by, because they were supposed to be walking along the streets, and they stopped by and saw the performance, and I was one of them, of course. It caught the attention of many passers-by, plural, passers-by, adults and children alike, both adults and children and adults alike. That means both this and that. Now some drama language here and there to show your understanding of street performance. The choreography, the dancing, the choreography was dazzling, very attractive, stunning, amazing, incredible, astounding, dazzling. Although the dance routines could not be done on a large scale because the performers were limited by the space available on the streets. Well, in other words, the space was very limited because it took place on the streets. However, the choreography, the dance moves, they were still tremendously attractive, even though there was only very limited space. Now, if you go back to the right-hand side, the second requirement of the topic, we need to talk about the problems and limitations. And here we have the limitation and the first problem. Okay? So you always go back to the topic and try to fulfill the requirements there. Never get off track. So, the problem, the first problem that I'm highlighting here is the limited space, okay? And so it couldn't be done on a large scale. But still, don't forget, the people loved it. Okay, the dance moves were still dazzling. And this also accounted for the smaller number of characters in the play. And given its setting, the play was deliberately designed to be short and simple. And here is another limitation of the play. It took place on the street, and so, it had a very limited space. And that's exactly why they couldn't include too many characters. So another limitation was that there was only a small number of characters. Okay, and also the play was very short, very simple. There was a very complicated storylines or twists. Okay, because of these limitations. Okay, so once again, we're talking about the problems and limitations there. This also accounted for, that also explains why there was such a small number of characters. Account for, to explain, giving reasons. Okay, so I've included terms related to drama or performance or street performance here and there. So you try to impress the marker with your understanding, and then you provide an analysis of the limitations. So I try to explain how the limitation affected the play. Okay, so always go back to the topic. If we are ready, we'll now move on to paragraph 4. What's next? Of course, we want to tackle the third requirement. That is, how they overcame the limitations and problems if there were so many constraints on the streets. How? Well, unlike a formal stage performance, the play did not have the option of changing sets. That's another limitation. And I included also another word related to drama. It featured only one setting, which was enough to impress the passers-by. The performers were clever in making use of the street space. Now, you see, we're moving into this part, how they overcame the limitations. Space was limited, yes. There was only one set, yes. But the performers were clever enough to make use of the street space and what was available at the moment. What do you mean by that? How did they make use of the street space, and how did they make use of whatever was available on the street at that moment? Now let me illustrate my point. Let me give you some examples and details. For example, so after starting with that brief sentence, now here are some details. For example, they used a bench on the street, they used a fire hydrant on the street, and of course the street signs on the streets as props. So remember, we are trying to explain how clever they were in making use of the street space and whatever items were available at that moment. And we're of course talking about how they use this and that as props. And to our surprise, everything came in handy. Everything fitted the plot impeccably. So everything, the fire hydrant, the street signs, and even the bench, everything fitted the plot impeccably. Everything fitted the plot perfectly, spotlessly, faultlessly, impeccably. Perfect. And so that is how they overcame the limitations. The performers even made the play interactive by including conversations with the spectators. They were so clever that they talked with the passers-by as part of the script lines, part of the conversations, part of the play. So again, I'm trying to explain how they overcame the limitations on the streets. I hope that is another piece of evidence they overcame the problem. Conclude with a positive note. Now, after the description and the explanation and the examples and the details, I round up this paragraph 4 with this sentence. With this crucial element, the play became even more lively and unique. That is why the play was a success, despite the fact that they did not work with a proper stage. And, by the way, without spotlights, without any props, without even a single chair for the audience. So that is the end of paragraph 4 with a positive note. Again, crucial, important element. Paragraph 5. Apart from that, apart from the geographical hindrances, you don't want to repeat the word problem or limitation for the first time, the second time, the third time, for the fifth time. When you have had enough, you want to think of another word. Let's use the word hindrance, difficulty, hindrances here. Apart from the above geographical hindrances, the performers also had to cope with the unappreciative passers-by. So let me introduce another problem and another limitation that they had to face. Apart from the limited space, apart from the small number of characters, apart from having only one setting, apart from the lack of props, now they also had to cope with the unappreciative passers-by. How? How come they did not appreciate the performance at the beginning? Well, explanation over here. Portrayal of the description of the situation. Let me give you a vivid portrayal of the situation. Some appeared indifferent as they walked by, turning a blind eye to what was happening. That is one example why the people were unappreciative. They just didn't care. They were indifferent. They did not care. They were uncaring. They are uninterested. They are not responsive. Okay? So that's one example, one piece of evidence, turning a blind eye to what was happening. Second example, some passers-by did that, while other passers-by, they interrupted their performance with abusive expressions. I don't know, with foul language, very rude language, very rude, insulting, offensive language. They interrupted with abusive expressions, and they complained about the disturbances that the play caused them. Alright? They grumbled, they complained about the play. However, now, of course, our focus is not on the problems and limitations only, not just about the hindrances, but we want to talk about how they overcame the problems and how they became a success at the end. However, so another big word, transition, strong transition with a contrast. However, the performance artists, they were not at all intimidated. They were not scared. They were not daunted by the disturbance. They were not afraid. They were not threatened by the abusive language. However, they were not at all intimidated. Inversion pattern here. Not only were they ready to face different kinds of audience members, but they were also prepared for the unexpected. Not only were they ready for that, but they were also prepared for the unexpected. Explanation, elaboration, why, how, evidence. At one point, a performer's monologue was drowned out by the siren of a passing fire engine, and the whole play was literally brought to a halt. the whole play was brought to a complete stop for nearly 10 seconds because of the siren sound of a passing fire engine. However, nevertheless, again you want to, bomb. However, but the performers stayed in character and they remained extremely calm and professional throughout the entire period. They didn't get frozen. They continued after the 10-second pause. They continued. So with this example, we can see that they were ready to face different kinds of audience members and they were prepared for the unexpected. And with that, I try to explain how they overcame the problems and limitations. And this is another example I'm giving you in paragraph 1 after the example I gave you in paragraph 4. Alright, so far so good. We've been doing a great job trying to prove that there were limitations, but the play was a success. Anyway, now we are coming to the conclusion. So how do you conclude this piece of composition for a school magazine article? So let's see how it can be done. Paragraph 6, the last paragraph. While street performances have obvious limitations, now you know that this is a keyword, so let me go back to the keyword and show the marker that I'm always there. Okay? While street performances have obvious limitations, they can be more intimate than stage performances. So here is a contrast between street performances and traditionally stage performances. And they can be more intimate. Intimate meaning very close, personal, very warm because it's close, it is warm. So they can be more intimate. So I'm trying with this sentence to show that street performance is indeed very unique. It has its uniqueness. Some more elaboration here. They eliminate the distance between the performers and the audience. Well, I think I've given you plenty of examples how that can be done to shorten the distance between the audience and the performers. And now I'm summarizing it with this word, intimate, eliminating the distance. So that's why I was impressed by that performance last week when I was watching the play in Causeway Bay. Last sentence. Next time, when you are passing a bustling, noisy, busy, hurried, lively street in Causeway Bay, in Tsim Sha Tsui, in Kwun Tong, next time when you are passing a bustling street, I recommend that you should slow down, look around, and then you may be surprised to find a hidden gem in a forgotten corner. That is a hidden gem of a street performance, a street drama play, in a forgotten corner, waiting to be discovered and appreciated by people who want some fresh air from a hectic life. So what I'm trying to achieve with this final concluding sentence is this. If you look at the right hand side there, I want to set the scene for future encounters so that this future encounter that I describe here will resonate with the scene that I set at the beginning. Remember that? Remember that? Okay. So I'm asking and I'm inviting my readers to try to think about their future encounters with any street performers. Okay? And I want to also close the whole article with a softer tone, because exactly I know that this is not an essay. This is in no way an argumentative essay. This is supposed to be an article for a school magazine. And then my target audience, my target readers, are fellow students who may want to simply read about street performance, who may want to just know more about my experience walking on the streets, coming across a street play, wanting to know how I felt about it. So I want to soften the tone with my last sentence instead of summarizing my arguments. Well, there are no arguments there. Okay, there are just observations and examples of what happened. So you don't need to close this with a very rigid, argumentative tone, but rather with a softer tone, just like that, painting the picture for a future encounter, and then invite your readers to, give it a try. Next time, look around and discover. You may be surprised by your discovery. With your discovery, Okay, so it's a total of 500 words, just right. But you see, with this, you can capture and respond fully to the requirements of the topic. I hope you find this helpful, and feel free to run this video and watch from the beginning again and see, read this in terms of the language, in terms of the organization, in terms of the ideas, and I hope in your DSE exam you may find this experience, this writing experience, helpful, contributing to your writing in future. Alright, so everybody, thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you again next time. Bye bye.